Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Corner. This wonderful day, a special day. We'll say that in a second. Well, every day is special, right? You should definitely make every day special for yourself because it is. It's perception. So we're gonna have a wonderful live stream here because what we're sharing today is huge as usual, and we talked amazingly in depth. The last every call's in depth. So anyway, my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach. That's a tongue twister today. Basically, my brand is believe in the unseen, believing in yourself, believing in your goal, whatever it is that it is for you. And my purpose is to reveal the hidden potential already within you and help guide you to your truest desires. I work with individuals, businesses, entrepreneurs, you name it. I'm in the Maryland area. I won't be for soon because I'm traveling soon, and I'm really excited about that. But what I'm really excited about today, we actually have a birthday here, and I'll pass it to the birthday person, the amazing colleague, Paul.
Woo!
Yeah.
Thank you, Jamel. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Paul Wooters, Success Mindset Coach, Proctor Gallagher Consultant. I'm in Burlington, Ontario, Canada, and a shout out to all my Canadian friends because we're celebrating the Canada Day long weekend. So happy Canada Day. And as I said, I'm a Proctor Gallagher Consultant, Success Mindset Coach. I'm an author, speaker. I like to consider myself an adventure traveler. But at one time, like so many people, I was stuck, thinking I was doing the right things, positive thinking, setting goals, but the results didn't match. And now I devote my life to helping individuals, helping you create the life that you want and deserve, working from the inside out, and to realize that you can be, do, and have all the things that you truly, truly want. And I'm going to pass this over to my friend Lou Perica.
Oh, well, thank you, Paul, and happy birthday. So, my name is Lou Perica, and I too am a success mindset mentor. And I'm thrilled to have everyone here today. If you're joining us or catching the replay, because this is about the image maker, and this is so powerful. And this chapter is full of a lot of great stories. But I work with growth minded women who have hit a turning point. You know, they've supported, they've achieved, they succeeded, but something inside is shifting, and they're not you're not lost, but you're evolving. So I help these women who are ready to rise by supporting and guiding them. Alicia.
Hello, thank you, Lou. And congratulations, Paul. And my name is Alicia Spinoza. I am a values and mindset coach, and I am in Sweden. And I help people to create a life that feels good on the inside and not just look good from the outside. And what this means is to follow your values, that you create a life or your goals in alignment with your values instead for chasing things outside you, and also that help you that are a leader to be a leader worth following. So yes, this is me. This
This
is
is
me.
me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. This is gonna be so good. This is I say this almost every time. It's like my favorite chapter, and I promise not to pick apart every little. But if you haven't seen any coaches corners yet, make sure you look at a lot of the replays because they're all connected. And lastly, we talked about how much is enough. We talked about how much is enough money for you. And before that, I always mix them up, but me and money, I think, was that the name of it?
Yeah, I don't know
So
if it's money and me or me and money, but I think it's me and money.
right, right. But you can look at everything in two different ways, right? So
Mhm.
the topic was money, and your future and your lifestyle. And today, speaking of future, And this is me, the image maker. Wow, the image maker. And let's, you know, for the viewers here live and the viewers that watch later, make sure you drop comments, interact with us. You can ask questions live, but you can also, guess what? You can talk to us as well. We love talking to you, right? You can message us directly or use our call links in the description, you know, because we're here to help you. We not only have amazing props, right? We not only have great stories and experience and knowledge and a kind heart as well, but we also have the ability to take you from point A to point B. And we definitely want to help you with that. All right. So, wow, let's start right with that beautiful, what do you call it? Let me share my screen. Beautiful poem there, right off the top. It is so powerful, and I want to start there. Um, if my colleagues don't mind, is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's good.
Go
It's
ahead.
good. Great poem. It's a great poem.
Yeah, I love it.
I posted it today, actually.
Oh, good. See, we're all aligned. This is what happens at Coach's Corner. We're aligned without even consciously being aware of it.
Yeah.
Right? So here we go. It's up to me. I get discouraged now and then when there are clouds of gray until I think about the things that happened yesterday. I do not mean the day before or those of months ago, but all the yesterdays in which I had the chance to grow. I think of opportunities that I allowed to die and those I took advantage of before they passed me by. And I remember that the past presented quite a plight, but somehow I endured it and the future seemed all right. And I remind myself that I am capable and free, and my success and happiness are really up to me. James J. Metcalf. Wow. I like that. That's just so powerful.
Mhm.
Anybody want to?
I can start because I meet people that they decide to push away the happiness or the joy or the whatever to the day when I get that job, when I marry, when I get the kids, when the kids go from home, or when I do this or this, all the time is like putting happiness and also blaming the circumstances about, and instead of thinking, okay, if I don't have the resources, I am resourceful and to go for that what they want is, you know, that is what it came to me from reading that. Yeah.
I'll chime in on that one. So as I mentioned, I put that poem up today on my Facebook, etc. What it reminds me of, and we were kind of talking about this before we went live, is really I am so much more aware of my potential, the possibilities that are available to me that I simply just was not aware of. I was really on the hamster wheel for decades. And from that poem, I realized how many of us hold on to regrets, hard feelings, things with mistakes, or things maybe that we did that embarrassed us or shamed us and we felt guilty. Any of that nonsense, I realize now that they are simply experiences. And when I came to that realization, it set me free, unlike anything else I've ever read or anything I've ever done. Coming to that realization by shifting my perspective, by not criticizing or blaming lost opportunities. I could have done that. I should have done that. And simply understand, well, I remember there was an opportunity way back when, but now I know other opportunities come. So I relax now and I go, with the flow. But I do understand now that I am really in charge. I am a co-creator with the divine essence that flows to and through me. So as they say, you never walk alone. So I find that poem to be, something that I could reflect on and something that I can move forward with, knowing that what is possible for me. Well,
Yeah, it's such a powerful poem, and we could probably do a whole segment just on the poem. I'm sure Jamel would love to do that. But
Absolutely.
sorry, a little dig on Jamel. Sorry, but really, yeah, it's so amazing, and you think about all the challenges that you've faced, all the obstacles that you've faced in your past. Well, you made it. You got through it. You're here today. So you were able to overcome those things, as unpleasant as some of them were, and you might not want to go through it again. But that's your strength. You're very strong. And as Lou said, we spend so much time replaying in our minds the past regrets and the past conversations, the past arguments, and the past downfalls and failures. And why live there? The past is the past. Leave it there. Get on with the future part. And it's like right now, I mean, you can obviously learn from the past, but it's what you do today. It's not what happened yesterday and all the yesterdays. It's what you decide right here and now, what you're going to do. That's going to shape your tomorrow, your future. And at the end of the poem, it's really up to me. It's up to me. It's not up to the circumstance. It's not up to somebody else. It's not up to my partner, my friends, my parents, anything. It's up to me. It's my decision. And I make a decision right now, a committed decision, commit to myself and what I'm going to do now, regardless of what's happened in the past, to shape my future. I did a talk the other week, and I was explaining, as I learned from Bob, and look at a child. They're completely engaged in the here and now. They're not thinking about the embarrassments of yesterday. And they're not not spending time worrying about what might happen 2 months from now or something like that. They're completely engaged in the here and now. And that's now is the only time, as Eckhart Tolle tells us, now is the only time there is. That's the only time there ever will be, is right now. So make a decision and know, and pat yourself on the back for overcoming all your challenges, because you're here. You made it. And so you can overcome a lot more than you think. So bet on yourself and invest in yourself. It's the greatest investment. It pays the biggest dividends, is an investment in yourself.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, because, investing in yourself is the best thing I ever done in my life. And when you think about it, you invest in two ways, mainly monetarily and your time. And of course, energy, but we always release energy, right? And imagine going through your life not really knowing who you really are and your fullest potential and capabilities. It's interesting, because going through life without knowing who you are, without knowing this type of knowledge, how you're connected to the outside world and your results, you're kind of in the dark, right? And as I look at the words image maker, that is the light. It's a big old, what do you call those lighthouses, shining light down the ocean or the sea, showing you where to go. It is so amazing to even look at that word. And I see here one of the things I underlined right off the top there. Most people live and die and never fully understand the power of image making. So let today be a very special day for you, being that you attracted this call or this session, right? Because you're learning the power of image making. And it says the image making concept, you can effectively use it for whatever good that you desire. What are you imaging? What are you imagining? And this is where you can use your imagination effectively or ineffectively. Most people tend to focus on things they don't want. Things I hope that doesn't happen that way. That session is going to be, I got to go to work. It's going to be the worst day ever. I'm expecting traffic. You know what comes to mind is a story. I think it was in You Were Born Rich, the audio. And they said, cold medicine and cough medicine, everyone expects to get a cold around November or whatever, right? Whatever country you're in. We have, we touch the world, with Coach's Corner. So the point is, I think John Canary, I believe, he asked the audience member, he said, so when do you expect it? How many colds do you get a year? He said, 1. He said, okay. So when do you expect to get it? I usually get one around November and sometimes it's sick, right? So he's imaging himself get sick at the specific time. And that's why cold medicine and cough medicine stuff, you notice, is all stocked up on the shelf and these times a year. So imagine, right? Image. You're imaging yourself getting sick at a specific time. And that's been conditioned year after year after year. Isn't that crazy? So you can shift what you do want rather than getting sick. I'm healthy all year round, right? I have a healthy body, so you can shift what you want and what you desire and get out of that cycle of mental destruction, actually. Anybody want to share there?
Yeah, it's a really, and I love that line, that quote that you pulled out of there, because I did the same thing. I pulled that out and I read that over and over again. But this is, Bob's explaining there's a profound power of imagination, and it acts as the foundation for personal transformation and our success. Human beings are the only creatures that are capable of creating images in our minds. And that is such a unique gift. And it's the key to shaping our reality. A squirrel's not out there imagining something different for itself, or a bird, or, any of the animals. They're not imagining something different. They operate by instinct. They don't go to nest building school. The birds don't go to flight school. They know to gather nuts in the fall. They were born in the spring, but they just know that. And they don't do anything differently. They do things by instinct. But we're the only creatures that are capable of creating these images in our minds. And so look around. Everything you see was first an image in someone's mind. Someone thought of that. Someone thought of the ability to do what we're doing right now. I think back, I grew up, I was a kid in the 60s. This would be so futuristic. This would be wild stuff, right? I mean, we're talking to Alicia's in Sweden and Jamel's in Washington, and Luke can be in Maine today and Georgia tomorrow. So, and we're touching people, as Jamel said, all over the world. The cell phone you have in our hand, growing up, the phone was attached to the wall. And that was a great thing, and then the cord was a long extension cord. Oh, wow, look how great that is. So everything you see was first held in someone's imagination.
Yeah. So Jamel, just quickly, I have a lighthouse on the back of my shirt. I'm just.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Can you see?
Thanks for confirming my intuition.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
But in the chapter, Bob notes Wallace D. Wattles, who wrote the book, The Science of Getting Rich. And this is one of our favorite books as well. I'm sure we'll do a Coach's Corner on that book in the near future. But Wallace D. Wattles talks about this thinking stuff, and thoughts are everywhere, and we can tap into this thinking stuff. And what we're able to do is it gives us the ability not only to think, but to form images. And we can actually, and this is what this chapter is about, is that we are image makers. So we can create anything in our mind, like Paul just talked about, the phone. I mean, when we were kids, we used to play around, and Paul, you may remember, use 2 soup cans and a string, right? So someone, and I used to remember, we used to watch what I think it was the Jetsons, the cartoon, right? And then I would hear people talking about, having a TV on your watch, being able to watch TV on your watch. And here we are. This is all, it's so common now.
Mhm.
But everything, like Paul mentioned, starts in the imagination. It's created twice, first in the mind and then in physical form. And each and every one of us has the ability to take an idea and bring it into physical form. And this is what this whole chapter is about, is that we are all image makers, and we are all co-creating. We all have the same mental faculties, which is imagination, reasoning, memory, intuition, perception, and what's the other one? I always memory. Did I say memory?
Did you say
What did I
will?
forget? What was it?
Will.
Will?
Oh, the will, right? The ability to concentrate. So all of us have that, and these are like tools. And I always share that in our conscious mind, our thinking mind is our workshop. Just like a carpenter goes to his workshop to create things, and those mental faculties that I just mentioned, those are the tools, but everyone has them. Why do we have them? There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a purpose behind it, because we are co-creating with this living infinite intelligence. Alicia?
Yeah, I was thinking about because in the chapter 1 we discussed about the prosperity consciousness, and how we talk about how important it is to create an image of you that has this prosperity consciousness in order to, and here is the working with the self-image. We many months ago we talked about self-image, and it's like, which self-image do you are creating in your mind? Is that the image that you are prosperous, or the image that you cannot reach your goals, or something like that? And I normally talk about the 3 self-image, and I did today this. the three, yeah,
Yay.
because the inner, we live in an inner world and the outer world, and the outer world is about having things, the materialistic thing, or chasing like cars, or your career, or something like that. But we also live in the inner world, and is what is going inside us, and it depends what we have image we have ours. So we have the authentic self, and the authentic self is when you are aligned with your values, when you are aligned with your purpose, then you have the authentic self. Then we have a red here, and it's the negative self-image. And the negative self-image, it comes with different parts. And here I will show you something that I myself did, and is
There we go.
this girl. This is a puppy, and I called it the shadow, because the shadow is something that we don't want other people to know, that we don't want people to, or that we are ashamed of, that we don't want to, that it's the part of us that we want to hide, and it's in the here, in the negative self-image, and it comes a lot from the childhood. But we have another person there, part of us, and it is it's a thief.
A thief.
You know,
Wow.
it's a thief. Like, this is also a part of us that is, I called it the thief because it's taking from us all the happiness, and it's not because of the paradigms or programming. It's a part of us for being human. We all have that. And the thief is working together with the shadow to create the negative self-image. And then we have the outer self-image, that is our ego, that is protecting the red one. So it is creating the things that you thought that people should want to say, oh, but she's good, or he's good, and so that outer, it takes so much energy to create all the time, the ego we have. So instead of working with ourselves to get the authentic us to come up. But the problem is that the thief is always there to put us down. Are you understanding that?
Mhm.
So it's something that I normally talk with my clients, that we have this shadow. All people have these shadows, the programming that we have from the childhood, and we try not to, that we don't want other people to know. But we also have the thief that will, when we try to go outside our comfort zone, they are the voices. And these guys have been long time with us. The voices that come, yeah, but you are not good enough. And it's better to stay here. It's better to not to risk. And the problem will be that the ego will protect that self-image that we have of ourselves.
Mhm. Mhm.
The role of the ego is not, the ego is not bad. It's only protecting the concept that we have of ourselves. And
Mhm.
it's why it's so important to think about what image I have about myself, because your ego will protect that.
Very good.
Yeah. So it is, yeah, that's what I wanted to say about the image. I came with the email, in the chapter 1, that it was so important to create that prosper, or the image that we create. And the
Whoa.
puppies, I myself created them.
Oh, wow. Alicia, that was amazing. She came very prepared, with amazing props with that one, and that was explained so well, Alicia. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love how you connected to prosperity consciousness, right?
Yeah.
It's very important. That's why I said here at Coach's Corner, everything is connected, and if you can't see an image past your limiting self, you'll be limited, right? But we know you desire more out of life and growth. And this is why we're talking about the image maker. This is so important in everyone's life. It doesn't matter what level you're on, whatever income you're earning or success that you have, anybody can use this to be a higher version of themselves. And all of us here, guess what we're doing? We're doing this work on ourselves right now.
Always.
So it says the knowledge of the image maker eliminates competition from your life by moving you from the competitive plane to the creative plane. This is good. So you will understand, therefore, that in truth, the only competition you will ever have is within your own ignorance. Ignorance, simply not knowing your true abilities. And I was operating on the competitive plane for decades, and I'm sure a lot of us here can relate to that. And I'm sure a lot of viewers that are watching this, it's hustle mentality. Oh, I got to get all these things done today, or I got to do more today than I can do in one day, and it's exhausting. But you can actually get clarity on who you are, who you really are, basically who you choose to be, and create rather than compete. And that's what image making is all about. I wanted to share here. This is so good. Bob says, before I delve into this idea, please understand that everyone is using the image making concept, and everyone always has. In fact, everything that has come into your life has come as a direct result of the image making process. So everything, right? So if you will only become aware of the results which you have obtained, look at your results, whether it's income, the car you drive, the house you live in, the clothes you wear, the vacation house, etc. Look around you, right? It says, in fact, everything that has ever come into your life has come as a direct result of the image making process. So therefore, if you will only be aware of the results which you have obtained, you will realize you have already employed this great mental tool. So you're doing it. It's just natural. But here we go. I can't compete with Alicia. I'm sorry.
We are not competing.
We're creating.
We are
right?
creating.
Exactly. So let's create here, right? So therefore, you're creating unconsciously, right? You're not aware of it. This is your conscious mind, and this is your subconscious mind, and this is your body, and these are your sensory factors. You see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So when you're creating, unknowingly, you're kind of not aware of your true potential, and you're not focusing your energy and on a clarity, on a destination, essentially. So if you only become aware of the results which you have obtained, you will realize you already employed it. So this is so clear because you're already doing it, but with this understanding, it can become stronger and you can develop it to a very high degree. And we're really talking about, mental faculties or higher mental faculties, or our superpowers, our imagination, and what Lou shared here, and the power of the will. You're using things outside of these sensory factors that we rely on since birth. This is mainly from the competitive state that we're utilizing these. And I just wanted to share that because, not a lot of people see that they're already doing it and understand the difference between competitive and creative. And Science of Getting Rich broke that down really well in that chapter. So anybody like to create?
Well, I love what you brought up, Jamel, that we're all using it. So most of us are using it by default and not by design, because if there's a line in there or a question somewhere in this chapter, Are you using, everyone's using it, but are you using it by default or by design? And I think what we're, this chapter is trying to impress. Thank you, David. I think this chapter is trying to impress upon us is that, we have the power to be, like, as Lou said, this awareness that we have, to be consciously aware of what our thinking is, and to do it by design, and rather than by default. Image making, as Alicia alluded to, it starts in our childhood. Most people's self-image is formed in childhood through external input from our parents, our teachers, our peers. And unfortunately, as well-meaning as they may think they were being, many of these early images are limiting or negative. In fact, if they are limiting, I think they are negative, because you should break through those limiting beliefs. And that's, long been instilled in you. And the chapter is really encouraging us to consciously replace the old images with empowering ones. And that requires some discipline and some work. You have to make a decision to do that. And you have to be persistent. You have to do it consistently, not just, okay, and do it once or do it on Tuesday and then I'll do it again. It has to be be a part of your regular routine, so you can instill these beliefs. And it has to be done. Another thing it says in this book, in this chapter, is it has to be done with emotion and belief, not just with words, because then the words just become meaningless. But you really have to start to believe it. It's tough at first, but through spaced repetition and doing it over and over again. That's why journaling is so good. That's why gratitude is so good. You have to shift your thinking. And Bob is urging us to create the image that you want, to become deliberate image makers. Visualize the person you want to become. See it and feel it and live it mentally. You have to live it. You have to, before, I think Goethe said, before you can do something, you have to be something. So visualize that person, and the repetition of that image with belief, you will find that it will begin to manifest physically.
So good. So I wanted to, this is my stick person. If you followed us in the past, you'll understand that this is just an image of the mind. And with an image of the mind brings clarity. So I want you to think of your conscious thinking mind. This is where we can reason, we can make choices and decisions from here. This is also our workshop where the mental faculties are. But I want you to think that we are all plugged into a power. There is a cord and we're plugged into this outlet. And I use the example of like electricity. We're all plugged into this power. This thinking stuff is a spiritual instrument. It's universal mind, it's universal intelligence, and we're all plugged into it. And we're all receiving this energy, this thinking stuff. It flows to and through us, but it just is, just like electricity. Electricity just is, until you give it some sort of direction, right? And this is where our thinking, this is where we can see, like Paul just says, you have to see it, right? So you see it in your conscious thinking mind, but you feel, this is why there's a heart here in the subconscious mind, because the subconscious is the feeling, is the believing part of the mind. So you're plugged in. You're going to create the image here. You're going to see it and feel it and believe it. Once this seed is planted here and is really taking root, this changes the vibration in your body. When the vibration in your body shifts, you start to behave differently. So we are all co-creating with this power, but we get to choose how to direct it. There's a story in chapter 1. It's one of my favorite stories. And I'm just going to paraphrase it, but it's about a minister driving along a country road, and he comes across a beautiful farm with the white picket fence and the freshly painted farm, and all the crops are just all lined up beautifully. And he was so taken by this, he decides to pull over, and he sees the farmer riding on his tractor. And the farmer notices the minister. He stops and pulls over, and he starts talking to the minister. And the minister says, geez, God has truly blessed you with this beautiful farm. And the farmer looks at the farm, and he says, yep, he sure has. But you should have seen it when he had it all to himself. You see, because there was this raw land, this rich soil, maybe some weeds and trees and whatnot. But the farmer saw something in his mind. He created a beautiful picture in his mind of a farm and growing crops and having a fence around it, etc. That farmer was co-creating with this power, this electricity, this divine thinking stuff, this living intelligence. It was co-creating. And when I drive back and forth from Maine to Georgia, we don't even put on the radio. It's a 20-hour ride, but we do stop and da-da-da-da. But as we're driving, I just look out the window and I just see trees and trees and trees. And I think to myself, wow, if man didn't co-create with this power, I would not be on a highway. I would not have road signs. There would not be a median strip or a barrier between one side and the other. There wouldn't be hotels and gas stations and restaurants and rest stops. So for 20 hours, I'm always thinking about this. I am in such awe of the power of co-creating. And I highly recommend that you just give it a shot. Just look out your window. And if all the man-made stuff was not there, it would just be trees and overgrown, growth and weeds and whatnot. So you can really see the power of co-creating with divine intelligence.
Yeah, that's so powerful.
Yes.
Story.
Yeah, and I think that when we are talking about creating, it's important to distinguish from performing, because sometimes we want to perform all the time, and when we think about performing, then we can be afraid of failing. Instead of creating, you don't have anything that you can say it should be there. Like, it's more using your faculties to create something that maybe is not already there, that somebody has created. So for me, it's very important, because I coach many high performers, and they get stuck in the performing mentality, and it should be perfect, and it should be this and this, and say, okay, let's take away the performing, and what could you create from your mental faculties with the force that I normally talk that we have the 5 forces. One is the shadow, the thief, the ego, the inner force, and the soul. And those are all the time within us. And normally when we want to create something, the thief will stop us because we get some resistance from ourselves. And it's not because of the paradigm, it's because we are humans. All the humans had that, a resistance. At the same time that we will grow all the time, the thief does that we have a resistance within us to go outside the comfort zone, to outside what is already known because we are so afraid of the unknown. But when you go and say, okay, I don't perform because then I know that I should do this. I need to perform to this. But what can you create? And let this inner force and your souls and your values guide you to create whatever you want to create. And I also come to the you say, Jamel, the competing thing, because I grew up in a very we didn't have so much money, so I needed to start working very early in my early years. And but I was so envy for all the people that my friends, they have money, they have nice shoes, and they have clothes, and and I was so envy because I didn't have that. I thought that my worth was in what I had. And the sad thing is that when I grow up, I had that thought. That is always so. I was all the time comparing myself to others, competing with others. And when I started to work with this and the on values, I I say like, oh my gosh, I have been comparing myself with something that is so, I don't know what other people values. So I cannot compare myself to other people. I can be inspired that, oh, if that person did that, I can do that in my way as I am, not as they are. Because we all values different things. So comparing ourselves to others and competing is like drinking poison and waiting somebody else to die. It's that.
Yeah.
So it's more to go inside and live in alignment with your values, your souls, your inner force, knowing that you have these shadows and you have the thief that is always there, but deciding that I'm going for what is authentic for me. This is my thought about what you talk.
Yeah, this is so good. This is so good. Wow, this might be a part two to this.
No,
Oh wow, this is so good. But you know, well said, Alicia, Lou, Paul. This is so good. Right before the story of the minister and the farmer, there's something very, very powerful that we can do a whole episode on. I wanted to share this because it's so potent and it screams at me. And I hope it comes to you as well. And I'll share my screen. It says right here, most religions teach that God is responsible for everything made in this world, whatever religious background, obviously, that you connect with. And he says, I would fully subscribe to this proposition. However, as co-creators, human beings must bear responsibility for what God makes in their lives. This was really jumping out at me because we know responsibility is the key to freedom. And a lot of us, I wouldn't say a lot of us, but majority of people, you can blame everything outside of yourself. You blame the economy, politics, news, whatever, but you're not taking responsibility for what you create in your life. And responsibility, a lot of us can shy away from that and run away from that. And it even says we're co-creating. Mm-hmm. So, and we all touched on this. We're co-creating with this infinite source, whatever source, you believe in, right? Infinite intelligence. And we can never be apart from it. And once you're understanding this creative process, you're co-creating, you must bear responsibility, just like the farm, right? If he didn't take responsibility, well, first have an image of the farm he would like to see. He knew exactly where to put the picket fence. He knew what flowers to plant. He knew, whatever he wanted to plant. And he had an image of the destination, the desire. This is why it's important to get very clear on what you really want, despite current circumstances, despite the past and all limiting beliefs that you hold on to. And the reason why we hold on to it, and Lisa shared some really powerful ways, that thief is actually your limiting self. It's the paradigm. It's your mental conditioning that is trying to hold you into your comfort zone and keep you there until your passing days. Don't let it control you anymore. You have to kind of take responsibility and create that beautiful farm for yourself, and I dream my painting, right? And then I create the whatever, so. And something else stood out to me. Understand that images are mental pictures that are made from thoughts. And the magnificence of the mind lies in the fact that it can think. This is your reasoning factor, right? This is your mental faculty. You can think. You can put whatever you want in your mind, in your conscious mind. That's where dreams start. That's where dreams can be built. And it says that is to say, it can tap into thought and create whatever image it chooses. Whatever. So we're only limited by our own thinking and by our own mind. All of us. It doesn't matter how many books we read or certifications or whatever we thought, we still have this power. So if you're not utilizing it or getting clarity on it, you're doing your future self a disservice. This is huge. That little part jumped out at me so much. And I'll pass it on if anybody wants to comment there.
It is a great line, Jamel. I love that line. I've got it highlighted in my book as well. And there's so many people you'll hear sometimes they say, well, if there's a God, then why are we in this mess? How could God allow this to happen? And you think about the farmer, so God provided the land, but we have the power to choose. It's our greatest power is our power to choose. And we have these higher faculties that Lou brought up. And we have these gifts, these higher faculties that no other creature has. So yeah, we are co-creators. And by using those higher faculties, we have the power to make a decision and to choose. So we decide, and we have to take, as Jamel said, 100% responsibility for that, because it's our choice. It's by our own design, whether we're doing it consciously or by default, or we're doing it deliberately. We are co-creators, and we have to tap in to these higher faculties so that we can design what we want to. That's a great freedom to have. That's a great choice to have, rather than just operate like the animals who can only operate by instinct. But we have that freedom. We have the freedom to choose and to build and to imagine. It's such a great gift to imagine. Everything's in the imagination, and then we can, through our willpower, through our perception and our reasoning power, we can build and design not only tangible things, but the life for ourselves, and we can become a different person. We become the best version of ourselves, and not the version that we've grown up believing that we are, as Alicia mentioned in her example. And I think a lot of people can relate, believing that was her self-worth, that was what she was worth. That's nothing to do with her own self-worth. And look at the person that she's become. So as Waddle, I think Waddle said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so by repeatedly holding on to a clear, emotionally charged image of your goal, you can begin to move toward it, and it will move towards you as well.
One of the other stories that I love, hi Michael,
Thanks,
is
Michael.
a story about John Canary. And I'll just briefly talk about it. So John Canary went to every seminar that Bob put on. I think this was back maybe in the 70s or 80s. And he had thousands and thousands of notes. And he approached Bob one day. He really wanted to do what Bob was doing. So let's go back to this. He was thinking about it when he first started to go to these seminars. He thought about it. The more he started to think about it and get emotionally connected to the idea, so the idea is just floating here. And unless you ask yourself two questions, am I able and am I willing? And if they're both hell yeses, now that idea becomes a planted seed. This is what Paul keeps talking about, getting emotionally connected to the idea. We have to plant it. So the emotional idea is planted in the subconscious mind. This starts to act like a GPS and starts looking for the circumstances, the opportunities, the resources, the people. But in John Canary, when he approached Bob, Bob was like, this is really hard work. And I have had hundreds of people that come up to me after each seminar, and they all want to do what I want to do. It's very difficult work. You have to travel. People criticize you. You have to really study because you're going to have scientists and doctors and asking you tough questions. And John Canary was like, am I able and am I willing? He's like, I'm able and I'm willing. I'm willing to do it. And then Bob calls him up one time. He says, hey, listen, John, I was flying to Chicago or wherever he was going, and the flights have been canceled. This is your opportunity. And John Canary stepped in for Bob and performed the seminar. And then if you catch YouTube, you can actually watch. It's a fabulous, right? The You Were Born Rich series on YouTube is hands down one of the best. I just absolutely love it. But you can see how John studied. He traveled. He was willing to do whatever it takes because he had an image in his mind. And he made a committed decision to follow through. And he traveled everywhere with Bob putting on these seminars. So not only do you have to create the image, you get to create the image, you must ask yourself these two very important questions. Am I able and am I willing? And then really get emotionally connected. The reason we get emotionally connected is because it changes the vibration in the body. The body is just really a vehicle for the mind to express itself. So once John Canary saw himself being on stage with Bob Proctor, his attitude changed, the way he walked changed, the way he spoke changed, his confidence changed because he was emotionally connected to the idea and his body started to behave and take action like the image that was planted in the subconscious mind. So this is why not only are we image makers, but we have the ability, just like Paul mentioned, that we have the ability to choose. So this is why, like Jamel mentioned, are you going to be responsible, take responsibility for yourself to have these wonderful spiritual ideas that are using you to bring them forth? Or are you just going to poo-poo them away and just blame everything in your outer world why you cannot do or be or have something? We all have the ability to be, do, and have. But we must take personal responsibility to take that idea and bring it into physical form. Every human has the ability to do this.
It's good.
So good. Yeah. Wow. This is so powerful. And thank you for referencing that story too, Lou. That's such a great story to share. Yeah. So think about this. Think. Keyword. Notice. Think. See how that jumps out, right? So if you're not thinking by now, Hopefully you're thinking. And if you missed the beginning of this, just go back, right? It says, understand that images are mental pictures that are made from thoughts, and the magnificence of the mind lies in the fact that we can think. That is to say, it can tap into thought and create whatever image it chooses. So get clarity on the image that you choose to focus on. And it continues here. It says, now play with your mind for a few minutes and become aware how you can flash one picture or image after another on the screen of your mind. So that's the will, but notice it says one image at a time. This is why constant spaced repetition is essential. Repetition of that image, you're getting clarity over time. So it says it is almost as if you were sitting inside your body at a great theater, and you are the writer, producer, and director of this movie you are watching. Mm-hmm. You're the star of your own movie. You're creating all of this, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And we're all here to tell you that you're creating this, yourself. You are doing this. Nobody else is doing it. So we mentioned many times, it says in a wonderful book Bob read a number of years ago titled The Science of Getting Rich, the author Wallace D. Wallace referred to this thinking stuff. This thinking stuff. Everything around you, right? This thinking stuff that permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner space of the cosmos. It's true that thoughts are everywhere, and we can tap into this thinking stuff with our mind and form any image we choose. So this thinking, it thinks for itself. It's waiting for you to think it, actually. It's waiting for you to connect with the same frequency of that thought power. I can get so deep here, but it says now become aware of this truth. Everything we do is preceded by an image. Everything we do. We think first in order to form an image, then we do the work. And it's not really work because you become emotionally involved with that image. The body must express what is impressed, and we naturally will start moving the more we impress to that image. We become. You be, do, have. And I didn't do much credit when I was in a train of thought. It's Van Gogh, a quote that I said, I dream my painting and I paint my dream. So what dream are you painting? Or do you even have a dream? So, and if you do have a dream, you have to get very clear on it. And this is when you can write it down in present tense. I'm so happy and grateful. Now that, what is that for you? What's happening right now in the higher version of yourself? And connect with that, get emotionally involved. There's many times all of us do this, and there's tears, there's joy, and you start vibrating. You're like, wow. And especially when you start seeing it in your mind's eye, you realize you have a gift that's been lying dormant for a long time. And imagine moving in that energy, physically moving, right? Whatever you're doing, this is what we help people with, right? You're washing the dishes, but you know that you have $56,000 a month coming into your account. You know that you're doing maybe you're writing a book, and you already see that it's a best-selling book of the year for 2025 as you're writing some notes, so you can tap into this thinking stuff. It's very important and very powerful. And it's important for you to become aware of it and utilize it. So, we shared so many great things here. I know my colleagues are going to laugh, but I want to do part two. But Alicia says no.
No, I think that we cover the biggest thing. What I wanted just to conclude is that when you are using your visualization, try to use all the five senses, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, or what you test. Are you testing something? All is so important because our subconscious mind can differentiate from something that is vividly imagined and what is not. So
Yeah. Yeah. The important thing is don't let all this information go to waste.
Yeah.
You know, reach out to us. We definitely want to help you with this and help you gain clarity on whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you desire, because that's your higher self screaming at you, wanting to become. And we help. It doesn't matter, you know, if you have your own business or whatever company, individual, we help you basically achieve these higher results. And you know, this is just a small part of it. It's only an hour of a small part of this extremely powerful chapter. And you know, let's end it off. You know, make sure you reach out to us, drop a comment, you know, let us know what really spoke to you, because this is so important to understand and so powerful. And I can't end this episode without wishing our amazing colleague happy birthday. Make sure you put happy birthday in the comments, whatever platform you're on, for Paul. And enjoy your day, Paul. Thank you for being here on your birthday. That's service right there. You see that? You know, he's became, right? So, yeah. Any last closing words, anybody? This has been awesome.
I'll say something. I'll say something, and thank you very much again, Jamel. That, you know, the imagination is not just for daydreaming. You know, it's a creative faculty meant to be used deliberately to shape results. And that quote that I love that I pulled from here somewhere, you're already an image maker, but the question is, are you doing it by default or by design? Lou.
I just wanted to share, when you do get an idea, and I forget who said it, I am so grateful for the idea that has used me. That idea has come to you, for you to bring it into physical form. Now, whether you choose to bring it or not, it will come to you. And if you do not take action, it will go to someone else, because that idea will come into physical form. It's just, are you going to be the one to do it and co-create with the power?
Amazing.
Good.
All right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you
Thank
next
you,
Sunday.
everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
See you next week.
See you next time.
You.